Welcome, I'm the Kaiju no Kami here at Colorado Anime Fest 2018 with
Relica Kane.
And we are interviewing
Amanda C. Miller.
First, for people who might not know who you are, why don't you tell our audience what you have done?
I am a voice actor. I've done, if you've seen Sailor Moon Crystal, I am Sailor Jupiter. I'm also Sailor Jupiter in the Viz redub of the classic series. I voiced Boruto Uzumaki, who's Naruto's son in the Naruto franchise. Video game wise, you might have heard me in Danganronpa. I voiced Junko Enoshima and Toko Fukawa, as well as in Fire Emblem Awakening, I'm Sully and Shershi, and other stuff I've done. You can Google it.
You don't know all you've done?
I mean, we'd be here all day. I'm just kidding.
Well, what was it like being a brand new voice actor, being able to actually get to dub in a classic series like Sailor Moon?
It was awesome because I've been doing it for a while beforehand, but they were all like smaller, just like bit things. So Sailor Moon was like a big jump up from that, and not just the fact that it's a huge series, but Sailor Jupiter was my favorite character growing up. So it was like a lot of like, is this real life kind of moments along the way. And it's definitely nerve-wracking because it is such a huge franchise, and like people outside of the anime world have heard of it. Mm-hmm. And so it has a lot of universal appeal, and it kind of spans the past, 3 decades. But the Sailor Moon fandom is also so gracious, and just it really, I don't know, it warms my heart because they're very much like the values of the show. It's about like love and friendship and solidarity. Like I've rarely met like a mean Sailor Moon fan.
Oh yeah. I think that's almost impossible.
Like every once in a while we'll have people who are like, "Meh, we like the old dub." I'm like, that's great. I watched the old dub growing up too. Like it has a nostalgic place in my heart. Like I'm not trying to replace that. It's just a new way to enjoy it.
Well, I love, Sailor Jupiter was always one of my favorite characters just because she embodied, at least for myself when I was young, because I was such a tomboy. Mm-hmm. So I always hung out with guys. I always did guy things like hockey. I remember you mentioning that earlier. Before the interview at least, and so that was always a big thing for me. I always wanted to have someone who represented me, and when I saw that in a cartoon form, because that was so rare, it was awesome. And seeing the redub, because I haven't seen the dub of Crystal yet for your voice, but at least for the original, it was just, you embodied the character so well, so I really appreciate that.
Yeah, Jupiter was the same for me. I was like in 5th grade, and I was like, I went through puberty before everybody else, so I was like, and boys go later, so like I was like head and shoulders taller than everyone in my elementary school class, and I felt awkward, and like I was just too big, and then I played soccer and hockey, and I was a tomboy, so it was also the 90s, there wasn't as much representation for women, like to see all different kinds of women, which I think is what Sailor Moon shows. It's like there's so many different flavors. You don't just have to be like the one token woman on a team of dudes. Mm-hmm. In Sailor Moon, there's somebody everyone can identify with. So yeah, Jupiter taught me you can be strong, and feminine are not mutually exclusive. Like
exactly.
They are just as feminine. Like it's just as feminine to throw a guy over your head as it is to bake a cake.
And as a male fan of the show, it's one of those shows, it's like, I love the actions and the style in the show.
Well, it's also funny because I actually had a couple years ago a 2nd grader. She was 5'1". Mm-hmm. I thought it was just someone came into the classroom to help their sister out. But no, she came in, sat down at a desk, pulled out her notebook, looked at the board, saw what the assignment was, and then started writing.
You're like, all right.
Like, oh, you're a 2nd, okay. She was the tallest girl, one of the tallest girls in the entire school.
Yeah, I know that feeling. And it's true, like, another thing that's really cool about the Sailor Moon fandom is that it isn't just like, oh, that's a girl show. Mm-hmm. Like, I love when guys come through my line and they're like, I love this show. I think that's so cool, and I mean, maybe you guys can speak more to that, but
Yeah.
It was a very inspiring show.
For me, being that at the time I didn't know Sentai, but I knew Power Rangers, like, oh, this is like a female anime version of Power Rangers. This is pretty cool.
And it didn't like deter you. You weren't like, oh, it's a girl show.
No,
like,
and then
cool.
I was collecting the trading cards that were out at the time that one of my comic shops had, and I brought them to school one day, and a couple classmates were like, are those Sailor Moon trading cards? I was like, yeah. He's like, look, can I look at them?
Oh.
And for me, it was Toonami that got me into Sailor Moon, watching it with Tenchi Muyo and Outlaw Star.
Yeah.
I watched it when it was on USA in the mornings.
I remember it was like, I sometimes got up that early, but it was like 6 a.m.
To age myself, I was in high school when Sailor Moon came to the US, so I got up for school, watched that, and then went to
I
school.
would not have believed that.
Oh, you're so sweet.
For one last thing on Sailor Moon, have you
I
had to
love you.
distinguish yourself from Jupiter from the classic series to Crystal? Have you had to approach anything differently?
We definitely do. That's a good question. Yeah, classic has a little bit more range with, you know, you can go from a really goofy, like laugh out loud slapstick moment to everybody being dead and, you know, Sailor Moon fighting Queen Barrelblight or something. You know, like
Yes.
it kind of has a broader spectrum of like, you know, where we go with it, but broader in all senses. So it's like there's a lot more like I don't know how to describe it without sounding dumb. But yeah, there's more like Usagi, blah 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 blah. Like whereas like in Crystal, it's very cinematic. It's very tucked in because everything's very serious and everything's very like we're all gonna die. We're all about to die. Like this. There's not as much humor. I think in season 3 they started to add a little bit more.
I think
back
because it was so dark and people were losing it based on the original.
Because it's like okay, like it was just like, and so like for example in the old series you might be like, you know, Sailor Moon, like it's a little more cartoonish, I guess. Whereas in Crystal, you know, it's smaller and more tucked in. Like I don't know how to. It's not a good example, but like you know, like Sailor Moon versus like Sailor Moon. Like I don't know, like it's kind of like more like
it's
everything's serious and a little bit more tucked in, and we don't have time to be a little.
We don't have time to develop anything.
Right. It's like
Think of it like the Dark Knights of Sailor Moon.
Yes, the Christian Bale. Yeah, yeah, because like especially when I'm talking in classic, I feel like it's a little brighter because you know it's a little bit more like, you know, hey Usagi, let's go make this cake, and you know everything's like, you know, friendship and love. And then in this one, it's like it's a little bit more.
Well, it's because everything's so fast paced. It's
right,
all story that it's just like we gotta get to this point, to this point.
We have to go stop Queen Beryl. We have to do this thing. We have to do it now.
And then it's like, oh, this general's introduced. Oh, bye.
Right now they're gone. So, yeah.
So, one thing that you had mentioned for both Fire Emblem and one of my favorite games, Danganronpa, is that you play dual characters in both games. Did you have to, how did you help to diversify how you were going to play each part since they were different characters?
Well, NIS America did a little bit of that for me because I split that part with Erin Fitzgerald. So for Toko, she plays the Genocide Jill or Genocide Jack, and then I voice normal Fukawa, who's like the little more stuttery one, and then Junko, she voices 3 of the personalities, and I voice the rest. So that helps diversify to have a different actor doing part of it. But I also, I mean, I was a theater major, so I have all these like different crazy characters in my repertoire, so like she was my favorite character to do because it's like, oh, you mean I can just be like this royal queen and be like so excited and haughty, and then, you know, be like an annoyed little kid, and then be like this rocker who swears a lot, like. So it wasn't super hard, but that's just because I'm crazy and I have a lot of
voices in your head.
Voices.
I like that. I have voices in my head too. Sometimes they tell me to do things, but.
That sounds like.
No.
I was like, should I?
I kid.
No, she's not.
She's not kidding.
It's more of voices not listening to him.
Yeah. What would you tell to a student, like a young kid who's like looking into maybe not necessarily doing voice acting, but theater or something else that's kind of scared too because he doesn't know if he will be made fun for it, or he doesn't know if he'll actually succeed at it?
I think there's multiple facets to that, but one of the things I would say is I've spent most of my life caring what other people thought, and I think that's held me back more than anything. You know, like when Sailor Moon first came out and the dub first came out, I'd like go and try to check and see what people thought and be like, do they like it? Do they like it? I don't want to be responsible for ruining this character that I love so much. And after a while, I just had to kind of relax because it was stressing me out so much to be like, I would have, like on Tumblr, like 1,000 people would have liked it or been like, oh yay, whatever, but then one person being like, oh, it's terrible. I think about that person.
Which I think is natural.
It's normal, but why does the negative invalidate all the positive? And so after a while, you kind of just have to go, am I happy with it? That's all I can control. I know that that's kind of cliche, but like that's probably the biggest struggle, has been the biggest struggle for me as an actor, is that, you know, like even in this play I just did, I kept checking to see if there were reviews, to be like, what do the critics think? And so like even now I'm still trying to learn, like, you need to develop an internal barometer, because there's times where like some of the best movies when they first came out were panned. Like they were
Blade Runner.
Yeah, they were box office disasters. Critics were like, what is this? And now they're classics. So you kind of just have to be able to have that internal barometer and be like, I think it's good, and you might not like it, maybe one day you will, but like I can't, don't try to control them, don't try to do whatever, and maybe it'll come around, maybe not, but as long as you're happy with the work you're putting out, but yeah, also just be authentic, try to be the best you can be, because a lot of people waste time in their career trying to be like, I can be whatever you want me to be. Do you want me to be the ingenue? Do you want me to be the comedic best friend? I can do it all. And it's like, okay, but, you know, figure out what you do best that nobody else can do and really lean into that. And like, you know, later you can show people your range, but getting into the industry, you will catch people's attention if you're just like, you know, suddenly you're like, I want to dye my hair blue and whatever. And I hadn't done it for my whole 20s because I was like, oh, I won't get cast. And now people are like, oh, it's so interesting. Like, so it's what makes you uniquely you will sometimes be the thing that actually helps you, and you don't have to hide it.
The way I look at online comments is if you see something negative, you're doing something right.
Right, like at least they're noticing you. But
no, I honestly, I respect and appreciate that you were able to overcome your own self-bullying in a way.
I mean, it's still a daily thing, like where you have to kind of silence that.
Well, and it's only natural, and I think it's important for anyone to acknowledge that, reference it, and look at ways to overcome it in themselves. And I know for myself, because I have similar issues, I use a lot of like positive reinforcement, just saying I did a good job, the whole...
Or me to say, you're fine.
Yes, the authentic you. But I really do appreciate that, and I think it's invaluable. Now, what type of play did you just recently do?
It was a play at Theater of Note. It was called Year of the Rooster. It's a theater in Hollywood. The theater is Theater of Note, not Year of the Rooster.
Oh.
The play was Year of the Rooster, by Olivia Dufault, and it was I guess a dark comedy or a dramedy. It's like a Greek tragedy kind of arc, but it takes place in rural Oklahoma. I can't say rural Oklahoma, with cockfighting. Like, so there's like a cockfighting ring, and there's like actually an anthropomorphized rooster, and he's like the hero of this Greek tragedy.
That sounds brilliant.
It was really good.
I love theater, so.
It was pretty good. We closed, well, they closed tonight. I'm here. So my closing night was last night.
Oh, nice.
So,
well, congratulations. That's
thank
a
you.
heck of an honor to be able to go through that.
It was, yeah, theater just is, I think it's something that every actor, that's another, if anybody wants to get into this industry, I think theater will train you for it in a way that a lot of other things can't. Because it teaches you how to use your body, it teaches you how to use your breath, it teaches you how to exchange energy with another person on stage and how to really be present. So, yeah, I would recommend theater classes.
We've actually got a friend who, he's in theater, and here, he actually directed Evil Dead the Musical a couple years ago.
Well, that's awesome.
He said he had a lot of fun with that. Has there been anything, theatrical-wise or in voice acting that you found yourself really challenged by that took a lot to overcome it?
Oh, yeah, I mean, a lot of things. Or, I mean, I don't know if they were as much like plays as they were like scenes for an acting class. Like, I think one time I had to play Blanche Dubois in college from Streetcar Named Desire. That was a tough role. But the funny thing is I realized the roles that are toughest for me tend to be the ones that are closest to me. Like, it has some sort of vulnerability that I'm not ready to explore yet. So usually, like, I used to run from those, and now I try to lean more into them to explore. Like I'm learning to be a little bit more courageous and be like, for example, I don't like voicing shy or meek or timid characters. Mm-hmm. And my agent was like, that's so interesting, because yeah, you tend to book like the confident, spunky ones, but in real life, you're kind of closer to like the insecure whatever one. I was like, well, no, I'm not. And I realized I was going towards roles that projected who I wanted to be. And I was running from roles that are closer to the heart of who I am. Mm-hmm. So now I'm trying to kind of learn. And it's always, if art gets scary, I think you know you're doing it right. Mm-hmm. At least that's for me. You're getting closer to something true.
Well, I think the true challenge is always something that's going to test your abilities, be it something that you don't want to be or something that you really aspire to be.
Yeah.
I find it funny, though, that you were playing Blanche, and you have blue hair. Now I'm thinking of the Simpsons episode where Marge played Blanche.
Yeah, no, at the time I didn't have blue hair, but yeah, and I just saw a production of it the other night, and it reminded me of like it was like came back in my brain, the lines from that scene, and I was like, oh god, like I was having PTSD flashbacks from college theater.
So do you have any social media links people can find you at?
Yeah, so on Twitter I am at Amanda_Celine, so CELINE. That's my middle name. I'm AmandaCMiller.com. That's probably easiest because it has all my links there.
Oh,
I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm Tumblr. I tried Snapchat for a second and then I didn't know how it worked, so I stopped.
I've never understood it. I think I'm too old for Snapchat.
Yeah. Oh, I also have a web series that I think is funny. It's like Parks and Rec meets like Ghostbusters.
Okay, now I'm.
It's called Ghosts and Stuff Inc. And you have to type in the ink because I learned later there was a song called Ghosts and Stuff by Deadmau5. So if you type in Ghosts and Stuff, that's all that'll show up. So if you type in, youtube.com/Ghosts and Stuff Inc. Like Ghost in, like Bed Bath and Beyond.
Oh, okay. I was about to ask if it was fully spelled out for and
we're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well.
Parks and Rec meets Ghostbusters.
Right up your alley.
I live for those types of shows. So.
I hope you like it, because we've had a hard time like getting people to watch, but it's because there's so much content out there. So
there is a lot of content. I think that's something that everybody competes with.
Right.
But I love those types of shows. I'm a big supernatural ghost buff, so anything like that out there.
It definitely is.
Now, side note, break, because I know we have to finish up. You had mentioned that you love musical theater earlier. What's your favorite musical?
I mean, it always fluctuates, but like I had a Hamilton phase. I really, really love the musical Heathers.
I love it.
And I really want to be Veronica one day, but I don't know if I like look like a Veronica. Like I don't know if I look like a high schooler anymore, but I'm like, one day I'm gonna play that role. I saw the last Broadway show I saw was Once on This Island, the revival, and it was so beautiful. So there's so many good musicals out there, but I love, of like all time, I tend to love the ones that are like sweeping, like Hamilton, where it's like funny and sad and all these things. So I think Ragtime would also be.
Oh, Ragtime's great.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Until next time, bye.